Hi everyone, myself Dr. M. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video, I'm going to discuss about charts and graphs for data visualization. So there are different types of charts are available. So what are the purpose of creating the charts and then uses we're going to see now. So for creating the charts, so we have to first present the data in a visual method, and we should also be prevent distortion data, and we should also present many numbers in a single unit. So make a large data set should also be easy to understand, and so encourage the eye to compare different pieces of data and reveal the data at several levels of details. So from that we can able to get the broader view of the fine structure. So here we can able to present the data like we're can able to show the data in the form of visualization. So we should be able to prevent this distorting data, and we can also present the numbers in the form of a single unit, and we should also make the larger data sets which should be easy to understand, and we should also be relieve the data at several levels in detail. So the very first thing is that bar chart. So this bar chart is going to be used for comparing the items that are not dependent on each other, and other comparisons between the unrelated variables. Like we're able to call it as a column graph or histogram or bar chart and stacked bar chart. So like this, we're going to have different types of bar charts available. So we should be able to show in different fashion. And this for bar charts, it should be a family of charts which is going to be display the quantitative informations. So normally the data is going to be two types like qualitative and quantitative. So for representing this qualitative data, so we can able to go for this bar chart. So the bar charts will be of different types. What I can able to say that vertical bar chart and horizontal bar chart and stacked bar chart. Like this, we are going to have different types of bar charts. So normally this bar chart is going to be used frequently to compare the multiple entities, which is going to be show two or more entries over the time. And this bar, each and every bar or column represents the data element, and the complete set of columns make up the data set. And the bar graph generally have one linear scale on vertical axis and category or sequence scale along the horizontal axis. So these charts are going to be useful when you are trying to compare the more number of discrete data sets or categories against each other. So the bar chart is frequently used to compare the multiple entities. So suppose if I'm going to take one parameter, so for that parameter we are going to show the different values. So similarly under like ABCD, I'm going to take some parameters. So for this parameter, what should be the value? How much value it is? So I want to show the values corresponding to that parameter according to that. So for that we can able to use bar chart here, and this bar and column able to represent the data element, and we can also be used to compare the discrete data sets or the categories against each other. So normally this bar chart is also a column chart on its size, so which is usually employed when there are fewer categories, and when there is a difference between the categories are going to be longer. So for this column chart, so we can able to consider this x-axis list. So where the different categories and the height of the each category column should be able to show the value here. Okay. So if I'm going to consider this x-axis, there should be a different categories and the height of what we can able to show that y-axis. Then I can able to show the values. Just know what I said here. So these are the different views of bar charts, like column chart, and then what can able to say bar chart, where you can able to represent vertically, and then also can able to show horizontally, and within the stacked bar, what can able to say that then each bar is going to be show different types of values for particular parameter. And stacked column chart means where can able to say that just now. So normally this each bar, normally in bar chart the sizes of the bar will be the different here. So when compared to um, stacked column chart. So here the stacked column chart is going to be point out to the 100%. Okay. So where the each and every bar is going to be divided into further sections. So where each section is going to be shown some different values of for different categories. Suppose if I'm going to take this blue color, so it is going to be represents the graduate and professional degree, and similarly this yellow is going to be represent this bachelor degree, and this going to be show this associate degree and some other like some other college degree like this. So I can able to divide the different categories in a single bar where I can able to show that should be matches with the 100% of the data. So this stacked and grouping bars can able to serve to show the relationship between the data sets. So comparing the multiple item at various points in time, and it should also be show the relationship between the multiple items change with time. So mainly this one is going to be used for looking the correlations between the meaningful relationship between the multiple data sets. So this stack and grouping should also be mainly go for relationship between the data sets, which is mainly go for the comparing the multiple items and going to be show the relationship between the multiple items, which is going to be changed with time, and it should also be look for the correlations among the multiple data sets here. And next one is line graph, what I can able to see. So this is another kind of graph, so where you can able to show it in different forms. And so normally this one is also be used for the related data variables, which is where the relationship is going to be changed with respect to time. So these line charts are going to be used good for the showing the trends of the continuous data. So normally involving the time. Suppose if any particular kind of parameter is going to be changes with respect to the time, so then I have to go for the line graph. So the area chart in the line chart between the area between the line and x-axis should also be shaded, so that you can able to view the data very clearly and can able to understand also. So this will be the this kind of this line graph what I can able to say. So mainly this is going to be used for the relationship between the time and the data here. So this should be the different views of line graph. So where can able to show this line graphs lines. So for, which is going to be changed according to the particular parameter, and then if I want to show the line graph in the form of this area chart, then I can able to shade it this region what comes under this, and similarly this area. So like this I can able to show the area line area chart here. And next one is pie chart. So here this pie chart is going to be used for representing uh, percentages data. So like where some parts of whole are percentages, if I want to show it, then I have to go for the pie chart here. So this pie graph will mainly going to be compare the components of the set to each other and to whole, and the pie graphs on the member are entire family of the proportional graphs. So this pie chart, so normally how to construct it means, so how to make use of circle here, then each and every parameter how much of percentage I can able to take it out. Suppose some let it be, A parameter is going to take 40% and B parameter is going to be considering 15 and C should be 30%, and D also should be 30%, so it should be matches with the 100% of the data. So make a protractor and then try to construct this. Like this is for 40% of A, and this is for B, C, and this should be D here. Like this, so 40, 15, 30, and then 50 maybe. So like this, I can able to compose the different percentage of the data here. So in the next, the angle of the area. So how to choose this angle? So normally this angle is going to be measured through the protractor. So what is going to have? So and sometimes this angle of the area of each slice, what we call it as a segment here, or I can able to call it as wedge. So it should be the same percentage of total circle of the data what is going to be represented. And this pie graph data may be either it may be a contiguous or it may be a simultaneous in time, so which may be linked more by meaning than by the physical proximity or the sequence here. So what is this angle I'm going to consider, right? So this one is normally going to call it as a segment, or sometimes I can able to call it as a wedge here. So these are some of the conventions of the angle of the slices of the pie chart here. So normally this pie graph data may be contiguous or it may be in some simultaneous in respect to time, and it should also be linked with more data than the physical proximity of the sequence. And next one is that scatter plot. So this scatter plot is usually used to show the virtual relationship of data and the correlation between the two variables using XY graph method of the plotting. So normally this one should be the visual representation of the relationship or the correlation between the two variables using XY graph method of the plotting. So usually these lines are going connecting the data should be the points that are not going to be connected here. So what is in scatter plot? So simply I'm going to take one parameter ABCD like this I'm going to take. So this one is going to prepare like blue dots here, and similarly for B it should is going to be for red dots, and C is going to be green dots like this. So here we should not be join all the dots. So the scatter plot is just going to be shown the dot here. So how much it is, how much of percentage of data is going to be covered, I want to know. So for that I can able to go for the scatter plot here. So normally this scatter plot is going to be show the visual representation of the relationship or correlation between the variables here. And next one is histogram. So histogram should also be looks like a bar chart, but we should not maintain any kind of space between the bar charts here. So histograms are going to be used to see the shape of the distribution and to determine whether the data is going to be distributed symmetrically or not. So normally this what should be the main difference between the bar chart and then histogram is that. So here in bar chart we are going to maintain the space between this each and every bar, but in histogram we should not be maintain any space, and this is for only for uh, presenting the particular parameters here, but here it should be the intervals. So intervals means 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8. So here intervals is going to maintain. So those are the differences that may comes between the bar chart and histogram. So mainly this histogram is going to be show the frequencies or relative frequencies of the continuous data. So the histograms should also be see the shape of the distribution and determine whether the data is going to be distributed symmetrically or not. So histograms are going to be like sorting boxes, since it should be only one variable and the data is going to be sorted by this way, by placing them into the boxes here, and the number of pieces of the data in each box is going to be counted, and then the height of the rectangle drawn from the top of each box, it should be the proportional to the number of pieces in that box. At the same time, the bar graph is going to have several different measurements that is going to be compared. So the main question is that the histogram answer is, so how many measurements are there in each of the class of measurement? So for this kind of questions, the histogram is the best example, and for the bar chart, it should not be suitable for that. And main question for the bar graph, the answer is that what is the measurement of each item? So in that case, so the bar chart should be preferable. So if I'm going to go for the classes of measurement, then I have to go for the histogram. If it is going to be measure of each item, then it is going to be bar chart here. Okay, so these are the options of selecting whether I have to go for the bar chart or I have to go for the histogram. I have to be considered. So let's see the situation. So what are the situations can able to for that can able to select whether the bar chart or histogram. So suppose if I want to compare the total income of the 5 different people here. So at the time I have to go for the bar graph. So what is the revenue of each person? So for this, how can able to represent? So I have to go for the bar chart, bar graph only. So similarly, so we have measured revenues of several people, and then we want to compare this numbers of people to from the class interval of 0 to 10,000 and 10,000 to 20,000 and from 20,000 to 30,000 like this. So for this kind of data, then how to go for the histogram. Since they are going to be asked the class intervals, how many number of persons are there, how many number of people are available. So for that, can able to go for the histogram. Then bar chart is not suitable for this kind of application. Similarly, if I want to compare the height of 10 basket players on the team, so which is going to be preferred? So whether it should be histogram or bar graph. So then the option solution is going to be obtained to bar graph only. So what is the height of each player I want to know? So like let it be some player X, the height is some 5.5, and from player B it should be 6, and from player C it should be 4 like this. So in suppose the same question, so how many number of players, so just know what I said, how many number of players are going to be there in class of heights 5.5. So in the height of 5.5, how many number of players I want to know? So like 5 to 5.5 and 5.5 to 6, 6 to 6.5 and 6.5 to 7. Like this I can able to segregate the class interval. Then at the time I have to go for the histogram. Okay. So 0 to 5, 10, 15, 20 and 25. So based on the situation, I can able to go for either for histogram or I can able to go for the bar graph. So many of the people may know that what are the various parts of the chart like axis. So this should be the reference lines in the coordinate system, and the x-axis is the horizontal reference and y-axis should be the vertical reference. And the title is going to be described the data, what the chart is going to be symbolizing, and legend. So it should be an explanatory list of symbols on the chart. So needed where you can able where your graph should have the multiple data sets, and labels are going to be need for linking the chart to the information that is going to be displayed. So if the charted data is going to have the labels in the spreadsheets, then the label should be carried over the chart. Okay, so the main things what have to be thing here is, so what should be the axis, so x-axis and y-axis, and the title of this chart will have to be taken out, and legend and then labels. So labels of the particular uh, parameters, and then legend how much it is. So let it be 10, 20. So these are all will be called as the legends of the symbol of the charts. So let me show this. Uh, So by saying this graph, so this should be the chart title of the graph, and this should be the x-axis titles like x-axis and y-axis, and these are the labels what I'm considered in the graph, and this should be the legends, so coloring blue and can red. I can able to show this one also going to be lessons here, like so 40 and then 50 like this. So what are the basic rules we have to be followed for creating the chart? So normally I'm going to be use the graph paper or a spreadsheet program or a graphing program such as Excel. So for representing these graphs, so mainly we have a predefined tool in Microsoft what you call as Microsoft Excel. So in that Excel you can able to insert the data and then you can able to plot the graphs. So decide the correct type of chart or the graph, okay, and determine the largest value number to be plotted on each axis, and make sure the scale is large enough to use at least half of the paper in both the directions. Okay, so by seeing this I can able to know how the best view of visualizing the graph here. So for that normally how to use either graph paper or spreadsheet program, or you can able to use graphing program like Excel, and you have to be decide what type of chart should be correct or not. And then we have to be plot all the independent or controllable variables on the x-axis, and dependent variable is going to be plotted on y-axis. Okay, so try to remember that. So what is the independent variable? So that should be comes on x-axis, and dependent variable is going to be there in on y-axis. So they label the axis and give the units to those labels, and all the graphs should have compulsory the title what is meant for. And a good title may always works is y as the function of x. So these are the some of the basic rules what we have to be follow for the creating the chart here. And so most of our graphs should be start with 0 0 axis, so that should be the compulsory thing. So and the number of x-axis and y-axis with the regular numerical sequence of the pattern starting with 0 should be spaced out your data so that it fills the entire graph. So this the origin should be fixed for all types of graphs. And if you are going to have two or more lines are going to be plotted on the graph, and the key or lesson it should be compulsory, and different who or symbol should be used for each line, and the color of the background of the graph and then lines on the graph should be clearly distinguished from each and every other thing. Okay, so the color background on the graph and the line of the graph should be clearly distinguishable, and the color of the lines of the multiple graphs should be also be different from each other. Okay, so how many colors have to be choose, so we can able to be for making the clear distinguishable color, it should be different things we have to be there. And what should be the general advice for creating the chart here? So keep the graph simple, that means make the data to do talking, so that the interesting data is going to be captured by the audience, and should be more than the graphic and special printing also going to be affected. Use meaningful titles, that is going to be label and let the audience think what the data means and not what the data could be. Be truthful with the axis, so don't change the exchange or scales or present to gain the false information. So normally what are the basic rules for the 3D? So 3D may not be good idea because the data appear to be distorted and can be misinterpreted, or it may be the misleading one. So the demonstration of problematic 3D perspective is that, so the chart on the left clearly shown the Clinton edge of the like this. And similarly when the x-axis is going to be Excel is going to be used to show this data in 3D format, it is impossible to clearly tell if anyone or one are type. So the 3D graph should not be mainly not preferable one. So since the data going to be distorted, and then it should be problematic for the audience to identify the correct value and all. Okay, these are the some of the basic things what you have learned in different types of bar charts and graphs. So in this video I covered about different types of charts and what are the uses. So there may be different types of charts, so according to type of idea we have to be choose what type of chart is the best thing. So for to prevent for we are going to be create the chart. So normally for data visualization purpose and then preventing the distorting data, and we should also be shown the large data sets to make easily understood, and we can also make the comparison very clearly, and then we can also reveal the several levels of details of data. So in that first thing is the bar chart. So mainly this bar chart should be is going to be used to present the qualitative information, and different types of charts may be available like vertical bar chart, horizontal bar chart, and then stacked bar chart. So when you're going to use this bar chart, like, so these are the different views of bar charts. So it should be looks like this vertical bar chart, horizontal bar chart, and then stacked bar chart. And the stacked column chart is the something different from the bar chart, where the size of each and every bar in the stacked column chart should be almost all same, and that should be matches with the 100% of the data. Okay, so then the column stack we're able to show this each and every bar is going to be a different section. So each section is going to be shown the different values of that. And the line graph is another thing. So mainly this one is going to be preferred when the data is going to be changed over the time here, and where this is mainly good for showing the trends of the continuous data. So this line graph can be either can able to show in the form of lines, or can also in the form of area chart also can able to show it. And another thing is that pie chart. So this pie chart is going to be showing some percentages of data. Then show the pie chart is mostly considered, and this angle what I'm going to be considering in pie chart should be called as a segments or a pitch. So to make how to make these angles, how to make the sections of this pie chart. And scatter plot graph is another thing which is going to be used for showing the relationship between or correlationship between the two variables. Then how to go for this scatter plot. And histogram, so this and all going to be used for presenting the qualitative data. So this histogram, what is the main difference between the bar and histogram is that, so the bar chart is going to be maintain the space between them, whereas the histogram should not maintain any kind of spaces. And the difference is that, so in bar chart is going to be show the parameters, where in histogram it is going to show the class intervals. So the some of the various parts of the chart, what I said, should be the axis names, and then title should be compulsory, and then parameters, what we call it as the labels, and legends. This and all should be the compulsory minimum things that is needed for representing the chart here. So some of the basic rules also I discussed what I think. So if I want to show the any kind of graphs, then we have to make use of this graph paper, or it can able to use spreadsheet program or a graphing program like Excel. So these are the best tools for representing the graphs here. And some suppose while drawing this chart, so what have to be main thing is that, so the key and legend is should be the necessary, so that it should be a different hue or a symbol that is going to be used to representing each line of each any part of the graph. And the coloring background of the graph should also be important. It should be clearly distinguishable for each other, and then the color of the lines or the multiple graphs should also be different from each other. So then the general advice for creating the chart is that, so all the time make the graph should be simple, so that the interesting data captures and audience attention will be more when compared to the other thing. And so make use of this meaningful titles. So make don't create this misleading of titles. Title is one thing, and then representation of data is another thing. So that and all should not be maintained here. So what this graph mainly meant for, what is the clear and exact title should be maintained here. So be truthful with the axis. So don't exchange the scales or perspectives to gain or going to promote the false information in your. And basic rules for the 3D is that so most of the applications this 3D idea may not be good because it is going to be show that different distorting data, and then the demonstration of the problematic 3D perspective should also be uh, not clearly distinguishable. And when we are going to be shows this data in 3D format, so it should be clearly impossible to tell if anyone will going to be one or type like this what kind of applications. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.